The Nutcracker Ballet, a story retold by Deborah Hautzig and illustrated by Carolyn Ewing. It was Christmas Eve. Clara and her brother Fritz peeked into the living room. "Oh, I can't wait for the party to start," said Clara. At last, the living room doors were opened and the children rushed in. The Christmas tree was dazzling. Hundreds of tiny candles twinkled. Sparkling decorations and candies hung from all the branches. Under the tree were so many presents. Soon the guests arrived. Aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends came carrying even more presents. Clara ran to greet her godfather. He was an odd-looking man. He was tall and thin. He wore a black patch over one eye and a frizzy white wig on his head. He looked magical and spooky, but he was a wonderful godfather. He always came with amazing toys that he had invented himself. This Christmas Eve, he came with a big red box and an even bigger green box. He opened the red box and out stepped a very big toy soldier. Godfather turned the key on his back. As the key turned, he marched slower and slower. Then he jerked to a stop. Next, Godfather opened the green box and wound up 2 toy clowns. They danced together. Everyone clapped in delight. Then Godfather looked under the tree. He picked up his present for Clara and gave it to her. It was a wooden nutcracker shaped like a little man. Clara knew at once that the nutcracker was special. His legs were too short. His head was too big. He wore a fine purple suit with brass buttons. On his head was a funny little hat. His eyes were kind and gentle. He had a white beard and a wonderful smile. Godfather watched Clara with a twinkle in his eye. "It is a small gift," he said to her. Clara hugged the nutcracker and said, "It is the best present. I love it best of all." Suddenly, Fritz grabbed the nutcracker from Clara. "What an ugly fellow," he said. He ran across the room. Clara ran after him. Fritz put the biggest walnut into poor Nutcracker's mouth. 3 little wooden teeth fell out. "Stop it, Fritz! You're hurting him!" cried Clara. She took the Nutcracker back and rocked him in her arms. "I will protect you," she whispered, "forever." After the party was over and everyone was in bed, Clara could not sleep. She tiptoed downstairs into the dark living room. It was so quiet. And then the grandfather clock began striking midnight. Clara was surprised by the noise. She looked up at the tall clock and suddenly she saw something strange at the top, something that was moving. Godfather was sitting on top of the clock. He peered down at Clara like an owl. "Godfather, you scared me," cried Clara. But before she could say another word, the most amazing thing happened. The Christmas tree began to grow. grew bigger and bigger and bigger. As the Christmas tree grew, the windows and toys and everything in the room grew with it. Soon the toys were the same size as Clara. Clara watched in amazement. Suddenly she heard, "Squeak, squeak, squeak!" Then she heard the pitter-patter of many feet. Dozens of tiny eyes glittered and darted all around her. Clara was surrounded by an army of huge mice. Out jumped the Mouse King. He had 7 horrible heads, each with a golden crown. He took out his sword and he glared at Clara. "Where is Nutcracker?" he hissed. Clara would not tell him. The Mouse King squeaked his command to his army. "Find Nutcracker!" The door of the toy chest flew open. Out popped toy soldiers, puppets, and dolls. They were led by Nutcracker. Now he was the same size as Clara. Drums beat, trumpets blared. The battle began. He was leading the army of toys. Swords clashed, cannons boomed. Nutcracker's army chased the mice. But more and more mice came. Nutcracker's army of toys was being beaten. Mice surrounded Nutcracker. The Mouse King grabbed Nutcracker's sword. "Now I have you!" he squeaked. Clara watched in horror. "Oh, my poor Nutcracker," she cried. What could she do? She kicked her right shoe as hard as she could at the Mouse King. Poof! Like magic, the mice were gone. Every single one. Clara turned to look at the Nutcracker she loved, and before her eyes, the funny-looking wooden Nutcracker became a handsome prince. He looked at Clara with his kind eyes and his wonderful smile. "You saved my life. Now let me take you to my kingdom, the land of sweets." The prince led Clara out the window and into Christmas Wood. The snowflakes tasted like sugar, and little snow fairies danced all around them. Soon they came to the prince's palace. A beautiful lady greeted them. "She is the Sugar Plum Fairy," the prince told Clara. And now, to the party. Clara and the prince went into the palace. They sat together on a golden throne in a crystal room. All the people in the land of sweets appeared. One by one, they performed their special dances for the prince and Clara. From Spain came the dance of hot chocolate. An Arabian lady did the dance of coffee. Chinese dancers jumped out of a giant teapot and did a lovely dance. From Russia came the dancing candy canes. From France came Mother Ginger and her little puppets. They ran out from under her skirts and then did a playful dance. Then all the flowers of the kingdom danced to the waltz of the flowers. I wish we could stay here forever, Clara said. Yes, said the prince, but now it is time to go on to other wonderful places. Clara and her Nutcracker prince stepped into the royal sled and waved goodbye. The sled rose slowly into the sky. Clara and the prince she had loved from the start vanished from sight.